Hey everybody, and welcome back to my garage. I'm Larry Nelson and I am working here on my budget Corvair build for, as you guys have seen in previous videos, my dad's 601 HDS project. Now, if this is the type of project you'd like to see, please think about liking, subscribing, following along, and you'll be able to see this motor here running really shortly. So to do the valve train, first thing you need to do is you need to have the engine in this position where we can rotate it. What we've got here is it's actually sitting on a block that's attached to the crankshaft here on this end so that we can get to all the lifters and all of the internals that we need to. All right, so when you're putting in these push rods, you want to make sure that the lifter is fully compressed. So you see this one here, it's up a little bit. This is not the position you want it in. You want it in this position here where it's fully seated and the camshaft is not giving it any lift at all. And you take one of your push rods. So here's one of the push rods. If you look here, real carefully, you want to roll these on a piece of plate glass to make sure that they're nice and straight. And you have two ends. You'll notice that here there's a bunch of wear that's occurred. This is the end that's going to go up towards this side here. Another way to look at it is you'll see, I don't know if you can see it here, let's look in here, you have this little itty bitty hole here with a through hole all the way through. Now I've already blown these out and cleaned them, but this hole here is what's going to point directly at the valve itself. All right, so like I showed you here, this one here is already seated. We want to make sure that the push rod comes all the way in. I'm going to move this a little bit so I still am seated. From here, get one of our rockers. Rocker sits in this position here. These right here are another important part. Let me kind of zoom in here and show this to you. All right, this is a grooved ball. So you see these little grooves in here. These allow for a lot more oil to move and properly lubricate. So these are the types of balls that we use on the rocker arms. All right, so back to setting this valve lash. So the first thing we do, as I said, we bring this down to the point where there's no movement at all between the rocker arm and the valve itself. Right there is the zero lash point. So right at this point, there's no movement between these two. From there, 3/4 of a turn. And we've set that the way it needs to be set for the life of the motor. So let's get the rest of these put in. Now, one thing I forgot to point out is we do use these stop nuts. These are, I get these from Aircraft Spruce, but you also get them from William Wynn. Here these are these right here. So these are MS 21042-6s, but again, they're a metallic lock nut, and these go right over the top here. Once we secure everything, and that locks it into place so that we won't get any adjustments after that. So the next step, now that I've got all these on, is I want to get the bottom of the engine assembled. Now you can send one of these into William Wynn for a core, but William modifies them. So if you look here, from here up has all been rebent and re-arced to work with the really deep seat, or the deep sump. So this basically slides in here with a little RTV, bolts it in. So let's take care of that. Now that's secure. Take a look at the rest of this. So here we've got deep sump with the gold oil system. And we got the gasket. Now this is going to sit again, just like that. So I'll put a little RTV, we get that set, and we'll be ready to go. And before we get too far, I've also got the valve covers. We get these on here, get that pan on, then I'll let you guys see the results. So I'll tell you what, new time lapse. All right, so see, we got most of the motor back together now. Got the oil pan in, we got the valves all adjusted, valve covers on, and one thing that we're going to add in just as a finish off is a starter. Now this is one of the older starters, but what's nice about these old starters is because a lot of guys are swapping over to the lightweight starters. For those on a budget, you can typically find one of the older William Wind starters from somebody else who's looking to upgrade. So I picked this one up fairly inexpensively. It was like $200 for the entire setup. So let's get it installed. All right, everybody, that about wraps it up for this time. So let's go over what we've gotten done. Off camera, I installed the cotter pin here for the safety shaft. So not a big deal, just drilling a hole. We put on the starter, got the valves adjusted, the valve covers on, the pan on, the oil pickup in the inside on. Again, off camera, got the oil cooler on. So the only thing we have left to do to get this engine ready to run is we need the gold oil system and the distributor. So once we get those things on, this is going to be ready to go, and we'll get it installed on my dad's HDS that we're building. Anyways, if this is what you like to see, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.